when we have trauma and how it gets stored in the body. If we don't release it, what will happen?
A lot of people with trauma actually have disease in their colon, and they have problems with being able to go to the bathroom. And a lot of people need to drink coffee or caffeine to have these regular cycles, because actually we're tight. We want to hold and control, and that actually shows up in our cycles of going to the bathroom. If we were not treated correctly as babies, as infants, as children, not able to fully express our voice, the whole system begins to seize up in control. And when we do voice work, the goal is really to open up this vocal tube and to allow the entire range of vocal expression to be released. Some people, they only talk up here, and some people are always over here, very monotone.
And some people are up here and they're very forward.
And why is that? When we allow our voice to express, we actually allow ourselves to cycle through our needs properly. Our voice is the instrument of the soul. It's the thing that allows us to communicate to the world. This is what I need. This is what's happening inside of me. It can teach us that everything is safe inside, but also using the voice to soothe the vagus nerve and to bring us back to a state of parasympathetic, which is taking us out of fight or flight into rest and digest.
How did you build that self-trust to step into your body?
When I was at the thick of my eating disorder, I only listened to voices outside of me, and I allowed my story of I'm a victim and feeling controlled by my parents, society, others' opinions to externalize my voice.
It's so hard when we've got all those voices. So if we can recognize who they are they our own? Are they from somebody else? Are they from a past experience? Are they from a past life? Are they from society? Where are they coming from?
Hey, beautiful soul. Yes, you. You are beautiful, whether you identify as female, male, trans, alien, fairy, witch, human, daughter, son, mother, sister, brother, grandpa, grandma. You are beautiful, and don't you ever forget to be you to the full. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on this episode. It has called you for a reason, and that is because it matches your frequency and your vibration, and there is a message in it for you. Before every episode, I sit in meditation and I ask for those who are meant to benefit from my conversations be guided to it. If you resonate with this episode, please subscribe, like, comment below, and even better, share this episode with another being. Now, when we share our information, it helps to bring consciousness to as many beings as possible. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your time here and working on yourself to find out who you are so that you can shine your light for others and help the consciousness of the planet. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode.
Today we have Breena Shusterman, who is a vocal embodiment coach, dancer, and industry-led voice doula, guiding others to birth their authentic voice in the world. She is the founder of Bravely Express and Moon Yoga, blending voice, movement, and yoga to help people reconnect with their inner power and expression, inspiring others to follow their wildest dreams. Breena, welcome to the Purpose Search podcast.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here and so happy to be with all of our amazing listeners.
Yes, we're so excited to have you on this podcast today. And if you are new to this podcast, thank you so much for joining. Every episode, I do start with a short breath exercise to drop us into the body and get present with the conversation as we come to screen or we're listening through our headphones. So today we're going to focus on nose breathing. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose, imagining that we have a white light coming through from our crown chakra and breathing out darkness into the earth through our feet. So we'll plant our feet onto the floor, imagining that the earth will recycle this energy and transmute it and alchemize the energy back to light. So take a moment to get yourself into your body and drop into your body. And if you like, you can put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Please do not do this if you are driving. But drop into the body and let's focus on our breath, breathing in through the nose. Here we go. Imagining that we've got this beautiful white light coming in through our crown chakra. And we're going to breathe out through the nose, imagining that the dark light is going to go through our feet into the earth. And it's going to be alchemized and transmuted back into the white light. It's going to come through our crown chakra, breathing in, coming through our body, through down to our feet and into the earth, and breathing out through the nose. And it's recycling and transmuting again and coming through white light through the crown chakra, breathing in. Good. And taking it down through the nose and out through the feet, breathing out. And we'll take one final breath, taking our biggest breath we've taken in today. Good. And breathing out this time, breathing out as long as we can. And when you're ready, come back to your surroundings. Move your fingers, move your toes, and open your eyes, and come back to the conversation. Thank you so much, Breena. I start my conversations and I ask my guests what their star sign is and what their energy type is in human design and the incarnation cross. So please tell us your star sign. This one is so exciting. I really love this one.
Yeah, I feel so, I notice so much joy in my body right now. I'm just so happy. And my star sign is a Pisces. I'm a sun, a Pisces moon, and a Pisces rising. Yeah.
I know, and I've never seen anyone with this before. It's so cool. You are intuitive to the max.
Yeah.
When I read this, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Have you had any I mean, when you found this out, when did you find this out? Did it resonate with you? What did you feel like knowing this from not knowing this beforehand and knowing it after?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was talking to one of my lovers yesterday and I was like, I don't know how much I actually believe in astrology because I, for so long, thought I was a Virgo rising. I didn't actually have my birth time. And I resonated with the Virgo sign, but that was when I was in college and I was a bit more really driven and perfectionist. But now, yeah, then I found out I was really a triple Pisces. And in a way, it does really make sense where I'm yeah, very creative, very much someone who feels her emotions very strongly. I would say if I'm feeling anything, it's like a tsunami. It's very, very
Wow.
intense. Yeah, and I've
I can
had
imagine.
yeah, very intense, and I'm very expressive about it. And people do notice, and I've actually been asked are you okay? Can you hold this? And I'm this is just how I am. So, yeah.
And that's beautiful that you can recognize that now and just be in your own true authentic self. And it's interesting because your human design is also you're a projector, 5-1, but you also have an emotional authority. So you've also got the emotional authority through that as well. I'm splenic authority, which is instant hits. That's how I make my decisions. But yours is emotional authority, where you have to go through your emotional wave to come to clarity. So that is so interesting as well with the Pisces.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I actually, when we were talking about it the other day, I actually took that into account because I was noticing a lot of stirring in me, and I was like, just stay calm because the answer's gonna be
It will
clear
come.
when this passes. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And your incarnation cross, I love this. It's the left angle cross of Dominion, 63, 64, 26, 45 are your 4 gifts. And it is to step in and take command, essentially to claim your authority. How does that resonate with you and your story? And share a little bit about that and how you got to your purpose.
Yeah, I would say now facilitating voice and movement therapy, I feel like that is my definite zone of genius where I can bring people's voice out in group spaces and individual spaces and really use those gifts to make a difference. What really resonates deeply about that is I went on a 7-day silent conscious dance retreat in South Africa when I traveled there. And it was 7 days of silence. And the last day was actually a 12-hour dance ceremony, and we fasted. And it was leading up to that, going through the 5 different bodies that we have. So the physical body, we also we have the energetic body, which is our emotions. We have the bliss body, which is connected to music. Actually, our bliss body activates every time we listen to music. It's like a very, very subtle piece of us. And then also we have the astral body. So we went through each of these throughout 6 days, and then 7th day was like this just beautiful journey. And I felt like I was honestly on a psychedelic trip because of being silent and dancing. It brought me, especially as a Pisces, into a space of pure tripping. Like it was not, I was not in regular consciousness. Your senses are so heightened.
Mm.
And what I saw visions during that time was a a version of me that has a podcast, but was also impacting things globally, like internationally, like seeing people talking about what I was saying and being like, what is she saying? Like, this is radical. And I feel like as I'm progressing and evolving, I do seek to be a voice for change, for transformation, not only on a individual level, but also on a global and international level. I would say that's my highest vision, is to use the authority of my voice to say, no, this is not okay. I don't stand for this. I do stand for peace on earth. And a lot of people, it honestly breaks my heart to hear, don't really believe that's possible. But I actually do. I do believe in peace on earth, and I know what I stand for. I know what I don't. And I think that there needs to be more voices that actually say and create a vision for planet Earth that is true, authentic peace, and to say, no, this is real, this is true, this is possible. And we're going to follow that,
Looking for
because
you.
it's not enough for me. It's really not enough for me to say, yeah, I'm just going to stay in my corner and I'm going to make, of course, it starts within your own home, but it's not enough for me to be saying yes to genocide, to sexual assault, to human trafficking. I will say no to those things, and I will say no to those things publicly. And when I do start my podcast, I do seek to research to create spaces where people can really talk about their experiences and move in that direction, because it's possible. So I think that's really where my inner authority lies, is to be a voice for Earth, to be a voice for the mother. And she is the most authoritative, right? She is the most authoritative. She will, with her storms, with her power volcanoes, she will tell you what she wants and what she needs and what she stands for. She says yes and no to. So that's where I'm at.
I absolutely love that vision, and it is something deeply that I resonate with. And there is a lot of things that I haven't actually mentioned about my own experience in a lot of those things that you mentioned. I am a survivor of sexual abuse, and I have had that experience in my lifetime many times, actually, not just once. And I think it's so important. Like I can feel the resistance in even saying that now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it needs to come out. It needs to be vocalized, and it needs to be said um, in a way that other people can feel safe to feel heard and to express and
Yeah.
to
resonate with. I think, there was a time where I said, I will speak about this at some point. Today's not the day, but I will. And it is so beautiful to hear that, you also feel that same way. And yeah, I'm noticing the people that I'm getting onto this podcast. It just is so beautiful how these people are all aligning, having the same visions, and the conversations that are going out are going to be heard by the people that need to hear them. And there is a reason why people have clicked on this episode to listen. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. It leads me beautifully on to my next question, actually, which is, I know that there was a time for you that you didn't trust your voice at all. And what did it feel like for you? And if I met you back then, what kind of version of you would I have seen?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. And my thought is, I don't even think you would have met me because I would have probably been in my room hiding. Because I think I would have, honestly, I think that version of me was super kind and genuine. I think I always, through my eating disorder, through the times when I just tried to be cool and popular in school, I think that my heart was always there. Maybe we would have been friends or maybe I would have been hiding, but um yeah, this is such a good question. I feel like I need to tune in and really listen. I think she would have been really scared and really like, do I have a voice? Like, do I have a right to be here? Is anyone going to listen? Would feel awkward maybe. Um, would feel like she had to show up perfectly and wouldn't know, how to, just wouldn't value herself, I would say.
And what did it feel like in your body?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I can almost feel her now, like, still living in me. Like, I think it's just like a sense of like shortness of breath and like a shrinking. Like, I actually feel smaller. Like, it actually, yeah. And also very in my head. Like, I think I was very living from my mind. Um, I couldn't speak from my belly, and I feel like that's really what I've learned through my voice journey is, like, bring it into the belly, let your belly expand. I was so scared of being embodied in my womanhood. I just wanted to be smaller and smaller and smaller physically, spiritually, mentally. It was just like, do not take space up. You are too much. You don't belong here. Like, that feels so true. Just a full on shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. And I think my journey has been, how do I take up space, but also in a wise way? Like, not in a way of, I'm gonna take space to the point where others don't get space, but to take up the amount of space that I'm meant to in this world. And that there's only one version of me, and that I don't have to be, not there's one version of me, there's only one me, and that I can be grateful for this body. I don't have to shrink. I don't have to compare myself to others. I can just be who I am, like, in this present moment, and that's enough. And I can fill myself, like, fill the, actually, like, with an eating disorder, it's just like, shrink, be smaller, be less. And now I'm like, no, actually, like, I feel myself pushing my stomach out. I feel my pelvis against the chair. Like, I'm here. I'm present. Versus before, it would be like, my God, like, where am I going? Like, I don't feel safe in my body.
So when was the moment where you realized, like, was there a specific moment that you were like, I just can't keep living like this anymore? Like, what was that turning point for you?
Yeah, I was definitely in college when I was living in a sorority house, and I just felt like my nervous system was at a breaking point, and I would come home shaking because I was so anxious and I would get straight A's on tests, but I would also go out drinking, and I would wake up so wasted or like the worst headache in the world. And I just thought to myself, like, this is wasting my life. Like, what am I doing? And I just had no vision, no purpose, no feeling that I mattered in the world. And that really led me to meditation and led me to hypnosis and yoga, which deepened my connection to my soul and my intuition and helped me to just slow down bit by bit. And it's been such a journey of slowing down and unpeeling all the layers of the onion, which showed me that that version of me who was so anxious was actually holding so much grief and so much anger and trauma and just so much that I was pushing down. And yeah, it's honestly crazy looking back to like reflect on all the tears I've shed, all the screams that I've expressed, all of the songs that I've written since then, all of the dances I've had, those moments of insight, because it was all leading me here back to my body into a sense of wholeness, of regulation, of this body is my home.
Oh, I love that. And you said about trauma being stored in the body. And, there are some listeners who might be like, this might be new to them and not knowing that this is actually a thing. And actually, I read this a couple of years ago by Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score. And it's an amazing book. I recommend that everyone reads this because it talks about how trauma is stored in the body. For me, I had a lot of stored trauma on my right hand side, which is the masculine side. And I had to do a lot of releasing of that from my body and through a lot of somatic work. And actually, I did this intuitively through meditations, and I didn't realize. Actually, very similar. It's funny that I chose that breath work today, but through breathing in light and breathing out darkness. Um, so, as you're the expert, you studied this for over 800 hours, I think. So, please tell us a little bit about how our voice is connected to trauma in the body and how we can release this. Because this is actually something that I teach as well with in my business. And if anyone would like to have a look at that, my links are all in the description below, as is Breena's. But if you could explain, Breena, how that is linked for us when we have trauma and how it gets stored in the body. If we don't release it, what will happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually feel the impulse to grab this book that's on my table, which is called Therapeutic Voice Work Principles and Practice for the Use of Singing as Therapy by Paul Newham, who talks a lot about this. And he is one of the fathers of voice and movement therapy. And in voice movement therapy, it's said that the vocal tube begins at the mouth and it travels all through our center down to our pelvis. And this is greatly related to our childhood and us as babies because we're fed, right? And then we scream when we don't get our needs met and we defecate because and this is our cycle, right? Through our voice, we can get our needs met, and then the cycle of digestion and excretion is in this proper cycle. And so a lot of people with trauma actually have disease in their colon, and they have problems with being able to go to the bathroom. And a lot of people need to drink coffee or caffeine, right, to have these like regular cycles, because actually we're tight. We don't we want to hold and control, and that actually shows up in our cycles of going to the bathroom. And essentially, if we, as babies, it even starts as babies in the womb and right when we're born, if we were not treated correctly as babies, as infants, as children, not able to fully express our voice, the whole system begins to seize up in control. And when we do voice work, the goal is really to open up this vocal tube and to allow the entire range of vocal expression to be released, right? And some people, they only talk up here, and some people are always over here, very monotone, and some people are up here and they're very forward, right? And why is that? Because our voice develops in that way, and different cultures even develop their voice in different ways because of certain patterns of behavior, certain patterns of feeding, certain patterns of suppression and expression. And really, every human being has access to all of them. And when we allow our voice to express, we actually allow ourselves to cycle through our needs properly. Our voice is the instrument of the soul. It's the thing that allows us to communicate to the world, this is what I need. This is what's happening inside of me. Not just I'm lacking this thing in me, but also I'm so joyous and excited that I have all my needs met. And not only that, it can teach us that everything is safe inside. It can be this mechanism of truth. And yeah, I think really the healing is I mean, not only the expression of our needs, but also using the voice to soothe the vagus nerve and to bring us back to a state of parasympathetic, uh, which is taking us out of fight or flight into rest and digest. So there's just so much that goes into this work, and that was just like a tiny explanation.
Thank you so much for that explanation. It's so beautifully expressed, and it just is so beautiful hearing you speak so divinely. It's just being channeled through you. I can feel it and hear it in your body, and the knowing the experience that you've had, and to go from the the small little Breena to this big expressive Breena now that we have on screen is so beautiful to see. So thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and giving us those examples as well of how our voice and where it sits in our mouth um, is important, and is a sign as well as to where we are in our body and how embodied we are, especially as women, and especially being as intuitive as we are. We were explaining that we were talking about this the other day, actually, about our moon cycles and our periods, and how intuitively we are so connected to everything around us. And when we come back into that wisdom and that intuition, we can connect more with our own inner voice. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, and what's your experience on that, and how you found that. For me, it's been a challenge with my period's been on the pill for such a long time, and then coming off it and going onto my natural cycles and finding that rhythm. How have you found that?
Hmm. Yeah, I used to not get my period during my eating disorder, which meant I wasn't
Mm,
actually honoring my body and its needs, and it just shut off that natural cycle of shedding in my uterus. And now, I've had an intention of actually becoming more aware of how does my voice sound when I'm on my period? Does it deepen? Is my voice
mm,
also shedding something? I think that's a beautiful
mm,
question to be asking ourselves. How is my voice
mm,
reflecting my cycles, even of ovulation? What are the vocal components that show up, right? Like in voice and movement therapy, we have a lot of different vocal components, like pitch fluctuation, which is like vibrato. We have different words. Do you get louder? Do you get softer? Where is your voice on the spectrum? Um, and yeah, I'd be curious to hear from you. What what is that struggle that you notice when it comes to the cycles of your period? How does it relate to your voice if you've observed anything?
mm. It's a really interesting question and one that I've not asked myself. What's coming to me is it was the stress on my body that affected my cycle. Um, and I think when it came back was when I felt more free to express. And I think that's a connection I'm making in the moment right now. It's so beautiful. So thank you for giving me that connection to that. That's beautiful. I think that will actually resonate with a lot of people as to, maybe if you are out there and you're not connecting with your cycle, what is going on for you right now. And if you step out and look at yourself, I always think of myself as I'll show you this. So I've got my little throat chakra crystal that I've got. If
Yeah.
we view this as us in our palm of our hand, and I'm here, but this is me in the moment, like, how can I see my life from a different perspective? That's how I try
Mm,
and view something from a bigger picture.
mm,
And also, I think, we have that anyway naturally as being projectors, and seeing the bigger picture. So in human design, there are 5 different energy types. There is manifesting generators, projectors, uh, we have manifestors and reflectors, but projectors in particular, they see things outwards. Sometimes it's really hard to see our own life and what's happening for us. And this was a conversation I was having with my friend Megan, who was on our podcast previously. So she's a human design expert. She's also a projector, and I was thinking about this actually, and when we can step away and see ourselves like this, then we see the bigger picture. We can see
mhm,
ourselves as well.
mm,
Um, so yeah, that's, I think, in the moment of when you're feeling these things and these stresses in your life, what's going on that's affecting your body? How can we step back into the body? How can
right.
we really ground
Mhm,
ourselves and connect with nature and the earth and our intuition and our
yeah.
inner voice so that we can then express in a way that is needed for
Mhm,
this world?
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
yeah, I think that's leading me to my next question, which is, how did you find that, and how did you build that self trust to step into your body? And what's the simple practice I think that someone could do today to reconnect with their voice?
mm. That's funny you asked that because I thought maybe in this podcast I could take a minute or two to lead us all in a little voice exercise. So maybe this could be a moment.
100%. Let's do it.
Let's do it. But I'll speak to self-trust, and I think it's like with anything else, you show up again and again and again every day, and you do it when you're not triggered first and you just do it to commit to yourself. And then in the moments where something does pull you out, like those stresses, and for me, it's external voices. When I was at the thick of my eating disorder, I only listened to voices outside of me, and I allowed my story of I'm a victim and feeling controlled by my parents, by society, by others' opinions to really externalize my voice. And I think the process of coming back to it can be so incredibly simple, even a small gentle hum. So how about we do that together, listeners? And Melissa, I'll if you're in a position to do this, even if you're in the car, you can hum, right? You don't have to uh yeah, be eyes closed. So let's close down our eyes and perhaps place a hand on the heart and one on the belly. And my invitation here is actually to sing with the energy of a lullaby. So tuning into your heart, breathing in through the mouth or nose, feeling the chest rise, and exhaling, dropping into the body, feeling the feet on the floor, the sit bones on the chair, the couch. And beginning just with lips closed and starting with a little hum. And not just picking one word that you'd like to bring into your day. It can be wisdom, peace, balance, something your inner child needs to know, something your soul needs to know. And just take that word and move between a hum and the word, and even explore different pitches, high or low. And we'll do this together for about a minute. Just with one final breath, pressing your hands deeper into the heart and belly to show yourself you're here, present with your voice. Showing yourself gratitude with a kiss or a hug or a squeeze, however you show yourself love. We can meet back together whenever we're ready, listeners, as well. Energetically, we feel you awakening. Proud of you for trying this if you did. And you can do this every day, right? Just picking a word, singing to your heart. It's so simple and it feels so good in the body.
It was beautiful. Thank
That was
you. And it
so
reminded me,
nice.
it was beautiful. And it reminded me of some singing coaching sessions that I do when, there have been many times that my clients come to me and they're crying before we even start. And
Oh my
and
goodness.
just a simple hum or just a simple breath can just really drop you into your body and calm, give that peace. So thank you. That was beautiful.
It was so lovely singing together. I felt that harmony. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt some goosebumps, some things moving from my body. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
I did want to touch on your awakening. Can you give a definition of what you mean by spiritual awakening? What do you think? Do you think people need a breaking point to awaken? Because the reason why I started this podcast was for us to have softer awakenings. It's really important for me to vocalize that not every awakening needs to be traumatic and turbulent and like a washing machine like mine was. And I think having conversations like these, if I heard this before, I think it would have opened my eyes to the fact that there is more to life than the life that we know. There's more out there. So what is your view on awakening? What was your awakening like? And if you wouldn't mind
Thanks
sharing
for
your experience
asking.
on that.
Yeah, I encourage gentleness in every single facet. I have the chills saying that because mine for sure was not gentle. And I would love for someone listening to this to be guided into a kinder, more loving, compassionate awakening, because ultimately that's where we're being led in awakening is greater gentleness, compassion, love for ourselves and others. So I do feel like the harshness of awakening is actually remnants of darkness that are being peeled off in layers. And I think that that's an old paradigm, actually, to be mean to ourselves, to be confused, to be lost. I think that moving into a space of receptivity of, okay, this is hard, but I'm open to receiving guidance. And how can I touch and be with my body gently and lovingly? My awakening involved years of actually being in my basement alone and allowing my body to move as it wanted to. However, my subconscious, I still don't fully understand why this was happening. I would be hitting myself in silence. And I thought, I need to do this. I need an hour every day to just be with my body and let whatever came through, because I thought I was finding my voice by sitting silently with myself and allowing my body to do everything, anything it wanted to. But I think without the guidance of a practitioner, of a somatic therapist to open me up to different ways of being and to show curiosity of what's really going on there. Why are you treating your body in this way in the subconscious? I think it was really actually a reflection of violence in my mind that was unprocessed grief, that was unprocessed. And I think you and I, as somatic workers, the more we can attract people who were us a few years ago, us 5 years ago, whatever space we really needed someone, I think, oh my God, we could save so much confusion. We could save people so much self mm, degradation, I would say. I wish I had myself when I was 20. I really do. I wish that some like me as my higher self now could walk into my room in college and be like, girl, let's just breathe together. Let me guide you. Let me show you the way. Let me show you that everything is actually okay, that you can breathe. Let the sun hit your face. Let's follow your dreams. Let's open up your voice. Let's share it with others. Let me remind you of your worth. So I think we for sure can make it easier. And I think that's what we're doing now with this conversation. But ultimately, I think only God, universe can determine that, right? Of we were meant to go through our journeys and that hardship, and hopefully God is saying now, for those who really need us, can give us the gift, give all of us the gift of making things easier. And I pray for that every day, to make things easier for one another, and to have the will, the goodwill to change ourselves, and to influence others in a positive way. So I think just keep hope.
What would the cost have been if you stayed silent?
Mm,
And for people who are out there who are the young Breena, the young Melissa who was dealing with so much darkness, what's the cost of staying silent and not expressing?
yeah.
I know for me, it's that you are not reaching your full potential of what you came here to be. And there is so much that is so much gift, and so many gifts that we have that are residing inside us that are just waiting to be expressed, not just through the voice.
Yes.
It could be through dance, it could be through art, it could be through music, playing. There are so many forms of expression that can come out. And I think for me, that's what's resonating with me. And I think I want to hear your opinion on that, Breena. Like, what is the cost of staying silent for you?
Oh, I think it's a lot of disservice to the self and disservice to others. And as you were saying that, I remember when I was in college, I would record these videos of myself playing, and I had every intention of putting them on YouTube and never did, because I had a fear voice in me that was like, this isn't good enough. I can't. And I look back now as my higher self, and I'm like, I was so cute and I was so sweet, and I had the purest heart and intention to just make people's lives better with music. And I'm like, why didn't I post them? And I have every intention now to post them again. I notice a voice that's like, I don't have time for that. But I feel like I need to, like, for my younger self and also for others to see, like, you don't have to be the perfect singer. You don't have to, like, make it anything. Just post it. Just, you might help someone. You never know. Like, think positive, be optimistic about your voice. Like, I think the tendency for the mind is to be like, oh, I can't do that. That's like not good. But it's like, what if we had the opposite assumption, that maybe that positive voice about ourselves is actually the more true one? And I think really, like, I think back after I went on a mushroom journey, and I was so awakened in my voice. I was just writing constantly every day. I was like this endless channel for spirit. And I had these really, really particular moments in the quantum field where I thought, okay, I could post this and I could not. What happens if I don't post it? Really? Nothing really happens, but if I post it, so much happens. So much is possible when I actually do post it, because someone could see it, because somebody could resonate with it, because somebody could get excited about it. Oh my God. But if I never posted it, then that spark can't exist. So enhance the spark, put it out there. Like, you don't know who you're going to affect. And when I would post these poems, I actually would have so many DMs being like, thank you so much for posting this. Can you send me this poem? Can you put this on TikTok? This is beautiful. Thank you so much. And I think the cost is really the cost of not experiencing more joy, more light, more vibrancy in this world. Art is life. If we didn't have that, then we would have such a bland and numb world. And we need more art. We need more light. Like, I feel like sometimes people don't realize that their expression, their art is light. And the protector part, that says I can't post, that I can't be with that, that part needs to be named. And that part needs to be loved and honored and cherished for the hard, deep work that it's been doing to protect, to say this is not safe. Because that is so alive. That is so real, right? That protector part is serving so many, has been serving me for a long time to not experience rejection, to not experience those same feelings of unworthiness from childhood. Because there's a lot of pain. Let's be real, there's so much pain. But when we work with this part and we say, hey, I see you, I understand why you're here, I understand that you've been hurt, that you're scared of judgment. This is really hard. Yes. But also, you're so beautiful. You're worthy. You can do this. People love you. Reassuring ourselves every single day over and over. At some point, we're going to start believing that we're worthy, that it is safe. And it's just that constant reassurance for our soul. And for listeners who don't know what parts work is, the idea is that we are made up of many different parts. There's internal family systems talks about this in different modalities, even voice movement therapy, and other modalities, that we're made up of a family of parts, and they all have their own needs. They all have their own desires, their own fears. They each have their own little world. And sometimes these parts can run our life. But when we can sit back and really observe, whose voice is this in me? What do you need? How can I honor you? How can I support you? Then we begin to become our own best friend. We begin to see that nothing inside of ourselves is an enemy. And I think that one fact is really going to make it easier for people's awakenings to realize that storm inside of you, there's a part of you choosing that, but there's a part of you that can also choose different. And and that's the work.
I think for me, what I think some listeners might be listening and not understanding is, what do you mean by different parts? And like, can you give us an example of something maybe from your experience of like where you had a different part speaking and it wasn't your true authentic self?
Oh, good question. Hmm. What's coming up for me is the voice that doesn't believe I'm physically attractive. And that is a part of me that has learned from the voices of society that my womanly body as it is not enough. I don't believe that voice is coming from the depth of my soul. That voice has come from elsewhere. And to recognize that is really life-changing, and to be able to talk to this piece of me and say, hey, you're so valid. You're so right. Like, there is a risk of rejection if you look this certain way. And you've been shown constantly over your lifetime that your body is supposed to look like that girl on the magazines. But you're the only one you, and you're so beautiful. And to reassure that voice from my internal compass, from my heart, is like, that is my true voice, that compassion, that authenticity. And so that's one example of how an external voice can really dominate our psyche and lead so many people into eating disorders, into self-hating patterns, like even diet culture. So many like binging patterns, all these things. I don't really believe that's a true voice that women are listening to, that men are listening to, that people are listening to. I think that is an external voice, some kind of cloud that we've been almost hypnotized to think is us, but isn't really.
And I think that is so valid, not just for women, but for everybody, whether you are male, female, trans, alien, fairy, anybody.
Yes.
Any being.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
It is so valid, I think, that there are so many conditionings and so many societal pressures and upbringing, cultural conditionings, which layer upon layer for us, which we need to peel back every bit of that layer to get to the inside of our true inner voice and heart. And I say this every episode is the inner voice. That's why I called my business InnerVox, because it's finding that inner voice and that inner sound and what is your heart telling you. And the tagline for this podcast is listen to the call of your heart and your intuition. It will lead you to your purpose and it will guide you there. And to get there, we can get there if we just get quiet and listen. But it's so hard when we've got all those voices. So if we can recognize who they are they our own? Are they from somebody else? Are they from a past experience? Are they from a past life? Are they from society? Where are they coming from? And when we peel back those layers, it's a process. I'm still doing it. Like, it's not like I'm sitting here going, I'm perfect. No, I'm not actually. You know, we were talking about this actually, perfection being imperfect and imperfect being perfect. And this is something that I am standing for every single day. It's like, how can I lead with imperfection and be this authentic, true Melissa that I am today and just be who I am? And as I can be who I am, that is just making everything else around me lighter, and bringing more light into my life. And I get to experience more joy, just being who I am, because why would we want to just put on this facade of who we're not? It's so much hard work. It's harder to be that than to do the work and be yourself. That's what I feel anyway. Breena, thank you so much for this conversation. I wanted to, just before we end, I wanted to ask you, what's your one piece of advice that you'd give someone who's lost and trying to find their purpose?
I would say explore. I would say go and do everything that you want to try, and don't limit yourself, because you never know what you're going to find. You know, go to that art class, go to that dance class, go on the walk when you get that nudge, go to that silent retreat, go to the BDSM club, go to these spaces that you wouldn't expect yourself to. Go to a church, if you're Hindu, go to a yoga class. Just see who you meet. Be open, because it's these sparks of light that are going to lead you to your inner world, to your inner space. And yeah, that's what I've got.
Thank you for that. And I just wanted to touch on some of the offerings that you're doing for us in the world. You have Bloom Your Voice and you also have Moon Yoga. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for giving me the space to speak about it. Bloom Your Voice, From Fear to Flow in 90 Days is a 90-day coaching program that I've created for anybody who wants to find their voice, to step into their power, and to move through this world with freedom and flow. And I'm calling in musicians, creatives, dreamers, people who'd like to start and open their business, who need to articulate their vision in their business, people who want to be able to unlock their creative juices, people who feel afraid of being seen and heard. This is all sacred voice work, and I lead people into unlocking all that has been hidden and stepping into their voice power through that journey. So definitely follow me on Instagram at Breena Shusterman. You can book a free discovery session or just DM me about this program. I keep telling people to DM freedom because I really think this is a journey of freedom within. And secondly is Moon Yoga, which I teach virtual classes online every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. CST. So you can join from anywhere in the world. I can also send you a recording. And the Moon Yoga Medicine Challenge is a yoga series which has 15 pre-recorded classes that actually align with the moon cycles and also all 7 chakras. So we progress from root to crown, aligned with the moon, and do the movements and the mantras that are associated with each center. And we dive deep into journaling exercises and meditative experiences to reconnect to our entire energetic system. So if you'd like to join that, you can also follow me on Instagram or go to moonyoga.app. That's where the challenge is. And also you can sign up for a class on that platform.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And what's one takeaway that you want the listener to leave with today?
I think I want people to know that finding your voice is a journey, that
Mm.
it is a process of showing up for your voice every day and allowing any voice to be there, to know that every voice belongs and deserves to be heard. So give yourself the space to be with your voice, to allow sounds to emerge, to sing the songs you love, to hum to yourself like we did. And slowly but surely, you'll start to walk in alignment in your truth because your voice has always been there, that inner voice, like you said, Melissa, and you're finding it every time that you consciously connect.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Breena, for sharing your voice and your wisdom. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this episode. Thank you so much, listeners. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment below your thoughts on your own awakening experience, or maybe what you've learned from this podcast episode. I love hearing you share your voice, and I love reading and replying to all your comments. So until next time, thank you so much, and see you in the next episode.